Today is Jorge Mario Bergoglio's 4th anniversary as Pope Francis. What is your impression of Pope Francis?
Pope Francis, he has done very much more than some of the other popes have done.
I really love Pope Francis.
I like him.
I think he's a good pope. He's got a job, but he's doing it well.
I was very impressed when they selected him as a pope because he is from this world, from the new world.
Pope Francis has taken the reins and added an element of humbleness to the religion of Catholicism. And so I really like that about him.
Going down and meeting the people, holding their hands, going and seeing prisoners, going and actually being with the poor.
He also believes in helping the poor. He's very humble.
So far, he's a good pope.
I like Pope Francis. I think he has some new ideas that he would like to bring to the Roman Catholic Church, but really can't because it would be too controversial. I do like him, though. I think he's a very prominent figure, and I look up to him.
So I think that the Catholic Church may be heading into the right direction, but it still has a long way to go.
How has Pope Francis been different from other popes of your lifetime?
His humbleness, for one.
He's much more reachable to the people or understandable.
He's more people-oriented. The other ones have been kind of up there, and he's more down here with the common people.
He does drive himself around.
He actually worked among the poor before he became a bishop. He was always working for the people that the most needy in this world.
His humbleness is what really, really sets with me. He wears a silver ring instead of a gold ring. He has his cross that he wore as bishop. He didn't get a new cross as a pope cross. Those are things that just really sit really nicely with me.
Pope Francis is different from the other popes because he does seem to have more creative and innovative ideas of what he would love to do with the Roman Catholic Church, but again, not that he can. Some of the other popes in the past have been very strict Roman Catholic and do it this way and you can't do it any other way, but I think Pope Francis is a little more lax in his ways of thinking for the Roman Catholic Church.
Francis has been described as a no-frills pope. He rides the bus or drives his Fiat or Ford Focus. He lives in a guest house rather than at the papal palace. How do such actions strike you?
Wow, I am very impressed because our church with Jesus did not live in a mansion. Jesus did not accept gold and riches. He accepted people's soul and to do well and to love each other. Pope Francis is following in his footsteps.
I like it. He's different.
I think that's very nice of him. It shows his humility, which I think the Pope should. Other popes, they ride in this fancy limousine or they live in the place where the Pope lives, in this fancy place with all this gold and art and stuff, but he's very humble. He's a wonderful Pope.
Oh, it's great. He is not putting himself above the people.
Makes me think that he is more of a people person, that he doesn't believe that he needs all those frills, everything that goes with being a pope to make him happy or to do the job he has to do as a pope.
It's good for him.
He's really on the level with everybody else. He doesn't portray himself or make himself to be above anybody else.
I think he's got the ability to do the work of God without having it go to his head, without having to overuse the resources that the people have provided him.
Francis has also created waves. He's restructuring the curia, he's criticized power-hungry priests and bishops, he's reformed the process for annulments, and he suggested communion for divorced and remarried Catholics. He washes the feet of women and Muslims and prisoners, and he focuses more on the poor than on abortion, birth control, and homosexuality. What do you think about all this?
I think it's about time. I think it's about time that we had a pope that thinks like this, because times are changing. You know, we don't live hundreds of years ago where things were so strict. So many people are different. We have different people, different races, different people of different sexual orientation, and they're all God's people. And I think he accepts all God's people as God would.
He's first Jesuit, and the Jesuits were supposed to help anybody that needed help.
What do you think about all this?
It's great. It brings a level of humanness, so to speak, to Pope Francis.
He is somewhat daring. He's using the power of the office in a very positive way to relate to the community.
I think that's good. I really do, because we need to come away from the mentality of what's almost like the Middle Ages and come to the present. Most people don't believe everything that has been done before of, you know, keeping women down, or even many of these things that you mentioned. And so, you know, we have to be considerate of the poor. We have to be considerate of women. Women, they can do the job as well as a man. And so, you know, why can't women become priests?
I'm a liberal, and I believe I know what segregation is about. I experience it, and Pope Francis is doing away with the discrimination within the Roman Catholic Church.
And so many of the rules that have been with the Catholic Church all these years, they need to be changing with the times.
Pope Francis is bringing a lot of changes, and I hope that they will let him.
Some commentators suggest that the Pope's central message during the past 4 years has been a return to Jesus' message of a merciful God. Why do you think that some Catholics, even priests and bishops, resist being merciful just as God is merciful?
Because they have the mentality that they're better than others.
They may think that they are a step above everyone else. That may just kind of get to them. It goes to their head, perhaps.
Because the bishops, they do not like it or don't want to give up the power they've had.
He's making some changes, but he's being confronted by the conservative wing of the Roman Catholic Church.
Many of these priests, they just think that they're better than others, and which I think is very wrong. So, and they don't like someone like Pope Francis, you know, coming and saying, you know, don't make these rules. You know, forget about those kind of rules. No, you know, that's just the way I've done it all these years. They're not willing to change, and I think change has to come. We don't like change, but change is here. If they want people to stay in the faith, they need to change.
They don't want to change so quickly.
I think they are just too set in their ways. They've been brought up in the old Roman style. Old, by old I mean strict, very strict. It's either this way or the highway, or you leave the church. And a lot of people have left the church. So I believe by his message of being merciful, I think a lot of people are turning to him and maybe thinking twice about what the Roman Catholic Church really thinks or should be thinking.
They don't really want to perceive themselves as a human being like everybody else on this earth, so they will not bring themselves down to that level.
Resisting mercy is a human attribute. Resisting mercy means that whoever is resisting providing mercy, that person is strictly human. They're not thinking beyond their humanness.
So we should preach more about love, humanity, kindness to others, instead of making all these rules that forbid people to enjoy the faith.
Pope Francis suggests that if we're not merciful, we water down the gospel. And some of the Pope's fiercest critics suggest that he waters down the gospel with his focus on mercy. What do you think?
I think Jesus was very much into mercy, and I think that's a very, very primary consideration. If the Pope is pushing for that, I'm with him.
I don't believe that he's watering the gospel at all, because he is speaking what I want to hear.
I don't don't think he's watering down the gospel. I think his interpretation is a more modern day interpretation of the gospel.
It's actually making us go back to our values.
He has a new eye, he has a new vision of what it means by what the gospel says.
I think his critics are power hungry. So they like the feeling, the image of being all powerful, so they cannot focus on the mercy side of it, which is really one of humbleness and one of, we're like everybody else.
When he talks about mercy, it's good because it brings more people to the Catholic Church instead of closing it off.
When Pope Francis watches this video, what do you want to say to him on his 4th anniversary?
Okay, Pope Francis, I want to thank you, first of all, for being the Pope that you are.
I think you're doing a wonderful job. I think you appreciate all of us as God's people, and I just want to thank you for being the way you are and thinking the way you are and doing your best is to try to bring everybody together.
You're doing a good job.
Congratulations, and hopefully God will lead you to make decisions that are right for everyone.
You really bring an element of humanness to our church, to our religion, and you've managed to do it very well. So thank you.
Always think in terms of what Jesus would do first, and don't worry about everybody else who is only into structure and power and the framework of the church.
Happy 4th anniversary, Pope Francis, and I hope that you live long enough to bring some changes to the Roman Catholic Church, because we need change. We have so many people that are excluded for different rules, and that sounds like Pharisees are running the Roman Catholic Church. And Jesus was against all those Pharisees that had so many rules that kept people away. I think there's too many Pharisees in Rome.
Pope Francis, congratulations on your 4th anniversary. Please continue your good work as Pope and head of the Vatican City State, and keep doing all the good work that you can do.
I'm Father Jamie, pastor of Holy Family Catholic Church in Austin, Texas. Thank you for watching this episode of Fides Populi.
Which other Catholic leaders should we address? Let us know in the comments below.
Happy anniversary, Pope Francis.
Happy anniversary, Pope Francis.
Happy anniversary, Pope Francis.
Happy anniversary, Pope Francis.
Pope Francis, happy anniversary.
Don't let people discourage you from continuing your work.
Happy anniversary, Pope Francis, and many more. And may God help you lead the people of the Catholic faith.
Yay! Thank you, Terry. Done.
And cut.
And cut.